It was the fluttering police tape that caught Zach's eyes as he and Maya approached Angela Horser's house in the heart of San Francisco. That in the silence, the police had already finished their investigation, and the usual buzz of the city seemed to have respectfully hushed itself. The only sound now was the distant hum of a cable car, its bells cutting mournfully through the fog-shrouded streets. Zach parked the black sedan along the street and turned off the engine, pausing to study the neighborhood and the Victorian row houses with their ornate wooden accents and regal shades of pastel. Should have looked charming in the gentle post-rain light, but now they appeared like silent tombstones standing vigil over the tragedy that they had been helpless to prevent. The agents left the car and approached the house. As they entered the house, the disarray struck Zach. A chair overturned, papers scattered like the aftermath of a storm, clear indication of a struggle. Angela fought back. "All right," Maya said, taking in the scene. Zach nodded, his gaze traveling from the shattered vase by the fireplace to the scuffs on the hardwood floor. "Quite desperately, too, I say," he said quietly, feeling a surge of respect for the missing psychiatrist. Whatever happened, Angela didn't make it easy for them. Zach's eyes swept the room, a silent signal as he processed the disarray, the aftermath of panic and silence. The ambience of Angela Horser's home felt thick with unanswered questions, every overturned chair a mute witness to her abduction. "I've got the entry point," Maya said, her fingers tracing the jagged edges where the frame of the back door had given way. Brute force looked like they just smashed their way in and grabbed her. No subtlety needed. No fear of the neighbors hearing, Zach murmured. They probably figured they'd be in and out in a few seconds, but they didn't count on the psychiatrist fighting back the way she did. Maya nodded. "Let's just hope she hasn't suffered too much for it." Zach studied the room again, trying to figure out what Angela had been doing when she was attacked. He walked towards the tall chair that sat by the grand old desk, a cascade of papers surrounding it. He knelt down, careful not to disturb anything, and picked up a sheet from the top of the pile. It was filled with complex equations and notations that a layman would find incomprehensible, but to Angela Horser it was her life's work. In the middle of something, Zach murmured, his gaze now scanning the room for more clues. "Maybe she saw them come, or heard them," Maya suggested, and now examining the shattered vase near the fireplace. She crouched low, studying something in particular. She reached out carefully with gloved hands and picked up a shard of glass. "Blood." Zach's eyes met Maya's. Angela's. Maya tilted her head thoughtfully as she examined the shard. "Could be," she said after a moment. "Or could belong to one of them. We'll have to get it to the lab to find out." Zach nodded and turned his attention back to the old desk. "Where's her computer?" he murmured. "FBI already confiscated. Government secrets and all." Zach nodded absently, continued looking around. His gaze fell on a bookshelf by the fireplace. A number of the books had fallen on the floor, revealing something peculiar along the shelf. A scuff mark as if from a moving part. Zach rose from his spot near the desk and made his way towards the fireplace, with Maya watching from her position by the door. He studied the scuff mark, tracing it with his gloved finger, right to left. He paused, looking thoughtful. "There's a secret compartment in here," he murmured. Maya raised her eyebrows as she joined him at the bookshelf. "What makes you say that?" Zach gestured at the empty shelf. "The scuff mark. The panel clearly swings out." He tilted his head and squinted at the titles on the spines of the remaining books. Classic mystery setup. Maya grinned. "You've been watching too many old detective movies." Maybe, Zach said with a half smile as he scanned the titles again. His gaze fell on an old physics books weighing particle duality. Angela was a psychiatrist, after all, and given her penchant for paradoxes, it felt fitting. He reached out and pulled at the book. The board behind the book came with it, revealing a small box filled with a number of personal items, some jewelry, a pair of vintage spectacles, a few faded photographs, an odd metallic object that looked vaguely like a miniature orchard log or orchard lobby. But what caught Zach's attention made that the rest was the small notebook. Zach pulled the notebook out and opened it. There were only a few pages inside, each one written in a complex, cryptic shorthand Zach couldn't make any sense of. Looks like she was trying to keep something very secret, Mike said. Probably notes about whatever classified project she was working on, Zach said. Think it's related to what happened to Montrose? That's what I want to find out. He pulled out his phone. I know someone near Masters who's good with this sort of thing. He has software that can. Just then, Zach heard a floorboard creak in the hallway. He froze, every muscle tension. His trained senses heightened. The phone remained poised in mid-air. The call to Neil unsent. Did you hear that? Mike's voice was barely a whisper, but it resonated like a gunshot in the sudden stillness. Stay quiet, he mounted, his eyes locking with hers as he shoved the notebook into his pocket. His hand motioned suddenly towards the field of the house as he grasped the cold metal of the gun at his side. This was familiar territory to him. The adrenaline rush and potentially complicated confrontation. Zach moved towards the sound, each step deliberate, the floorboard beneath him mercifully silent, his heart pounding against his ribcage, a rhythm that matches the ticking clock of urgency in his mind. The footsteps were careful, almost imperceptible, but to a man like Zach, they screamed an alarm. He was accurately aware of Maya's taking cover behind the leather couch, her own weapon drawn. The dance they performed was one of life and death, choreography by instinct and training. Zach reached the back door without instinct. It was ajar just slightly. The hairs on the back of Zach's neck stood on end. Instinct streamed at him to duck, and he did so just as a figure lunged from the darkness. A flash of metal blended in the dim light. Zach rolled away, narrowly avoiding the blade that whooshed past where his head had been moments before. Zach grunted as he blocked the punch, feeling the sting of impact against his forehead. He continued with a right hook, putting every ounce of his rural Alabama strength into the blow. The man staggered, but it didn't fall. They were locked in combat now, each move a brutal dance of survival. Then, amid the grunts and thuds of their struggles, Zach heard gunshots piercing the stillness of the house. There were others, he called out, tearing his attention from the ceiling for a split second. A mistake. The masked man saw his chance and tackled Zach, sending them both crashing to the ground. But Zach Force was no stranger to a fight. With a swift motion, he flipped the attacker off him and delivered a punishing kick that sent the man sprawling. He needed to get to Mike. He sprinted back to the main room, his heart beat thundering in his ear. As he burst into the space, he saw Mike crouched by the window, firing off control shots at a figure crouched behind the stone wall. Zach reached for his phone to call for backup, but there was no signal. Scrambled. His gut clenched. They were isolated, cut off from the world. Damn it. He cursed under his breath, holstering the useless device. His mind raced, piercing together the implications. They're jamming us. They came prepared. He had a pulse hammered in his ears, a relentless drum beat. to underscore the grim reality of the situation as Maya reloaded. Her movements deft and sure despite the chaos. He tailed the masked figures moving with military precision outside. There were too many light dark walls of day coverage on Angela's house with one purpose: to keep them from leaving. Isaiah Force, his voice low and urgent. We can't take them all. We need to extract. Back to the car. She shriveled towards him, eyes sharp as flint. Exactly. The vehicle was armored, a small fortress compared to their current vulnerability position. I'll cover you. Move fast. Got it. Her nod was the motion of one warrior cinching up with another. As Myers splintered for the door, Zach stepped into the breach and began firing. Bullets ricochet off the walls, sending plaster dust sprinkling over his hair like green confetti. That was not how he had envisioned today's unfolding when they touched down in San Francisco. This was supposed to be a search, not a siege, but adapting was what he did best. It was what kept him alive. He caught sight of Myers reaching the vehicle, her silhouette a beacon of success amidst the gunfight. Now it was his turn. With a deep breath that tasted of grits and resolve, Zach bolted from the cover of the house. The ground erupted around him, gestures of dirt and concrete, marking the passage of bullets seeking flesh. His heart was a wild thing thrashing against his ribcage, his mind a swirling vortex where only survival mattered. Come on, Force, he murmured through jittered teeth, the mantras of his own survival blending with the cacophony of battle. The vehicle loomed ahead of Basher in the midst of the storm. As he threw himself behind the wheels, bullets punched through the windows, showing him in a crunch of glass. Maya was already in the passenger seat, gun at the ready, her profile etched with determination. Drive, she shouted, her voice slightly through the thunderous noise. The engine roared to life under Zach's command, a growling beast eager to flee the madness. They peeled away from the curb, chased by a hail of bullets.